The film begins by telling us that after Wing Sing passed away from cancer in 1960, in 1964, Ip Mund was also diagnosed with cancer in his head and neck. At that time, he was 71 years old. One day, a man named Billy came to the Wing Chun training area to meet Ip Mund, but because they couldn't understand each other's language, Billy had to spar with Ip Mund's students. Finally, Ip Mund showed up, which made Billy very happy. He then shared some exciting news. Bruce Lee had invited Ip Mund to a karate tournament in San Francisco. He also gave Ip Mund a book on Kung Fu written by Bruce Lee called Chinese Kung Fu. This book was special because it was Bruce Lee's very first one. Billy himself was a student of Bruce Lee's school in San Francisco, where Bruce Lee later created a new self-defense technique called Jeet Kune Do. Then, the scene changes to Ip Mund talking to the school principal. Ip Mund was called in because his son, Ip Sheen, had gotten into a fight again. As a result, the principal decided to kick Ip Sheen out of school. Instead, he suggested that Ip Mund should consider sending Ip Sheen to study abroad. Ever since his wife died, Ip Mund and Ip Sheen didn't always get along well. The reason is because Ip Sheen preferred learning Kung Fu over going to school. One evening, Ip Mund invited his friend named Fatso over. Fatso, who had retired from the Hong Kong police, listened as Ip Mund explained his plan to find a new school for Ip Sheen in San Francisco. He asked Fatso to look after Ip Sheen while he was away and promised to call every night at 10 p.m. Hong Kong time. After Fatso agreed, Ip Sheen suddenly said he didn't want to go. He still preferred Kung Fu over school. This made Ip Mund annoyed, and eventually, he slapped Ip Sheen because of his words. The next day, Ip Mund flew to San Francisco. His best friend, Long Kund, who had moved to America and now worked as a newspaper editor, picked him up at the airport. During their ride, Long Kund explained that they needed a recommendation letter from the Chinese Benevolent Association for Ip Sheen to get into school there. When Ip Mund arrived in San Francisco, he was greeted by Master Law at the Chinese Benevolent Association, CBA. This association handled Chinese immigration matters. There, Master Law introduced Ip Mund to all the masters there, including Wan Zonghua, who was the Tai Chi master and chairman of the CBA. However, at the meeting, Ip Mund didn't receive a warm welcome from them. Despite this, Ip Mund remained patient and showed respect to everyone. Then, Master Wan told Ip Mund that if he wanted the recommendation letter, he had to solve a problem caused by Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee had broken the rules by teaching Kung Fu to non-Chinese people and writing books about Kung Fu in English. But there, Ip Mund, who had a different perspective, argued that Bruce Lee's actions weren't entirely wrong because he aimed to share Chinese Kung Fu worldwide. However, Master Wan, who was more traditional, didn't agree with this reasoning. He still insisted that Ip Mund stop Bruce Lee's teachings. This led to a conflict between Ip Mund and Master Wan because they couldn't agree due to their different beliefs. After the table glass got broken, Ip Mund said goodbye and left the place. He was then taken to his place of stay. At night, exactly at 10 p.m. Hong Kong time, Ip Mund called home. Unfortunately, Ip Sheen was still upset and refused to talk to his father. The next day, Ip Mund went to a karate tournament as invited by Bruce Lee. At the event, besides displaying his fighting skills, Bruce Lee also showcased his famous one-inch punch. After the tournament, Ip Mund and Bruce Lee chatted at a cafe. Bruce Lee, knowing that the CBA couldn't provide the recommendation letter, offered his assistance right away. Soon, Bruce Lee's students arrived at the cafe. There, Bruce Lee introduced one of them, Hartman, who was a Marine wanting to introduce Kung Fu to his unit. During their conversation, some karate experts challenged Bruce Lee. Despite facing 3 opponents at once, Bruce Lee easily defeated them. Then, a karate master challenged him and the fight began. The next day, armed with a recommendation letter from his student Bruce Lee, who was a lawyer, Ip Mund went to the school to meet the principal. But the school still insisted on a recommendation from the CBA. So, Ip Mund decided to leave the room. At the same time, Master Wan's daughter, Yona, was being bullied by another student named Becky. Becky was jealous because her teacher liked Yona as the new cheerleader, so she told her friends to hurt Yona. When Becky cut Yona's hair, Yona got angry and pushed her, accidentally scratching Becky's cheek with the scissors. Becky's friends then tried to hurt Yona, but Ip Mund arrived just in time and saved her. In the process, Ip Mund injured his left hand when it got caught in a gate. Afterward, he took Yona back to his house. On the way, he realized that Yona was Master Wan's daughter. Meanwhile, at the CBA, Master Wan scolded Yona for not telling the truth about the fight. Yona explained that she couldn't tolerate bullying and wouldn't stay silent if it happened again. Shortly after, Ip Mund chimed in, saying Yona was just defending herself, but Master Wan was upset, saying Ip Mund didn't understand their rules. Master Wan believed that even if Chinese people were mistreated, they shouldn't fight back, while Ip Mund thought it was important to resist oppression in any form. Unfortunately, their different views led to an argument, and as Ip Mund was leaving, Master Wan accused him of using Yona to get a recommendation letter. Then he challenged Ip Mund to a fight. Soon after, the two masters began their battle, but it was interrupted by an earthquake. As Ip Mund was leaving, Master Wan said their fight would continue on the eve of the Spring Festival. Upon hearing this, Ip Mund expressed that fighting each other was pointless. He believed they should use Chinese kung fu to fight against oppression and negative attitudes within their community. Ip Mund clarified that he didn't help Yona just for the recommendation letter, cause he genuinely wanted to protect her from oppression. Hearing this, Master Wan began to respect Ip Mund. Meanwhile, Becky went home and falsely accused Yona, the son of CBA's chairman, of attacking her. Her father, Andrew, an immigration officer, planned to take action against Yona. The next day, Yona visited Ip Mund and talked about her relationship with her father. Despite her preference for cheerleading over Tai Chi, her father forced her to practice Tai Chi. Even when she tried to explain, her father wouldn't listen and kept pushing her. There, Ip Mund realized that what he had done to Ip Chin wasn't so different from how Master Wan treated his daughter. Meanwhile, in another location, Hartman brought a wooden dummy to his base, but his superior, Barton Geddes, scolded him right away. Barton was a tough gunnery sergeant who was arrogant and prejudiced, but he was good at karate. There, Hartman explained about Wing Chun and the wooden dummy, but Barton mocked him and challenged Hartman to prove himself by fighting a karate instructor named Colleen. Barton said if Hartman won, he could keep the wooden dummy on the base. So, they started the fight. Unfortunately, Hartman lost the fight. Barton then claimed that Chinese kung fu was inferior to karate. He burned the wooden dummy and punished all the Chinese soldiers under his command. In the evening, Hartman convinced his commander to include kung fu in the Marines' training. To strengthen his case, he asked permission to attend the Spring Festival and document all the kung fu activities there. When Barton learned about this, he instructed Colleen to disrupt the event. Then, just before the festival started, Andrew began his revenge. He arrested Master Wan, claiming there were illegal immigrants at the CBA. He threatened to arrest everyone there that night. Meanwhile, at the Spring Festival, everyone was excited, including Ip Mund and Hartman, who were there to record the activities. But then Colleen and his students showed up to cause trouble. There, Colleen flexed his muscles, introduced himself, and challenged all the CBA masters to a fight. So, the battle between Colleen and the three masters began. After Colleen was defeated, news arrived that Master Wan had been arrested. Soon after, Ip Mund and the others rushed to the immigration office. Meanwhile, Barton, who knew Colleen was injured, wrongly assumed Master Wan was behind it. Soon after, he went to CBA and beat up all the masters there. Then, after learning about Master Wan's arrest, Barton went to the immigration office. Meanwhile, at the immigration office, Billy, who was also an immigration officer, approached Ip Mund. He warned that everyone at the CBA would be arrested that night. After hearing that, Ip Mund and Long Kund hurried to inform all the CBA masters about the danger. When Ip Mund arrived, he found all the CBA masters injured. To treat them and keep them safe, Ip Mund took them to Bruce Lee's training ground. Meanwhile, Barton, who had just reached the immigration office, met Andrew and demanded Master Wan. After speaking with Master Wan, Barton told him about the festival and the CBA situation. He then challenged Master Wan to a fight. Before leaving, Master Wan told Yona and Ip Mund that what they had said was true. When oppression becomes unbearable, the only choice is to stand up against it. Then, Barton and Master Wan went to the base. Barton gathered all the troops to prove that Chinese Kung Fu didn't deserve a place in Marine training. Then, the fight between Barton and Master Wan began. After Barton defeats and breaks Master Wan's leg, the scene shifts to Bruce Lee's Kung Fu training ground. There, Bruce Lee treats the injured masters with care, showing that there are no hard feelings between them. Thanks to this incident, relations between Bruce Lee and the CBA masters improve once again. Later, Bruce Lee receives a call from Hartman, who updates him on Master Wan's serious injuries from the fight with Barton. Shortly after, Ip Mund hears the news and rushes to the hospital to check on Master Wan. Seeing Yona crying beside her father, who is in a coma, Ip Mund is reminded of Ip Sheen. Then he calls Ip Sheen, who initially doesn't want to talk, but he changes his mind upon learning about his father's cancer. There, Ip Mund apologizes for slapping Ip Sheen and realizes that he's always pushed his son without considering what he truly enjoys. As a result, Ip Mund promises to teach Wing Chun to Ip Sheen when he returns home. The next day, Ip Mund asked Hartman to take him to the Marine base, but before they could leave, Yona, worried about Ip Mund, stopped him. At that time, Ip Mund explained that he practiced martial arts to fight against injustice. Despite her concerns, Ip Mund and Hartman headed to the base. At the Marine base, Hartman introduced Ip Mund to Barton and mentioned that Ip Mund had defeated Colleen the night before. Hearing this, Barton challenged Ip Mund to a fight with no rules, saying they'd fight until there was a clear winner. So, Ip Mund and Barton began their intense battle, and in the end, Ip Mund emerged victorious. A few days later, Ip Mund met Master Wan at the CBA. During their meeting, Master Wan gave Ip Mund a letter of recommendation. From then on, Master Wan and all the CBA masters respected Ip Mund greatly. Soon after, Ip Mund returned to his home country. When he arrived, his son Ip Sheen greeted him with great respect. That evening, after Ip Sheen expressed his desire to learn Kung Fu, Ip Mund agreed, emphasizing the importance of self-confidence no matter where they are. A while later, around June 1972, while practicing with his son, Ip Mund realized he didn't have much time left. He asked Ip Sheen to record their practice session. Ip Mund demonstrated all his Wing Chun moves, but when he was about to demonstrate a move involving a sword and a long stick, Ip Chun and Ip Sheen stopped him. They knew it required extra strength that wasn't suitable for Ip Mund's health at the time. Several months later, on December 2, 1972, Ip Mund passed away at the age of 79 due to cancer. Bruce Lee, one of his top students, attended his funeral to pay his final respects. However, just 7 months later, on July 20, 1973, Bruce Lee also passed away due to brain swelling. The film ends. The moral lesson from this film is don't sweat the small stuff, unless you're Barton Geddes trying to prove a point with Kung Fu. Then maybe invest in some antiperspirant and call it a day.